Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, where you can also find us in the Birmingham-Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and on City Cable 15 of Southfield. Join us live every day on Channel 10 in Waterford, on the Media Network of Waterford, and live to tape on Channel 10 in Orion Township and Lake Orion on Orion Neighborhood Television, otherwise known as ONTV. That's what the cool kids call it. You can find us also on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on the Biff Radio Network, 88.1 WBFH. The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District, 24/7 operations out of Bloomfield Hills High School. Find us online on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV 15 and at Lakes FM, on our website at civiccentertv.com, and on My Michigan TV, otherwise known as My, at mymytv.com, where you can also learn more about downloading their free smartphone and smart TV apps as well. You can keep up to date on all their original programming, including the Michigan Megacast that begins airing on My at 11 o'clock. Lato Live, that usually airs from noon to 1 o'clock, and then Larry and Maddie Live, that airs from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. This week, a bunch of special programming from My in Traverse City, Acme, just outside of Traverse City, at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa for the 2022 Governor's Conference on Travel and Tourism through Pure Michigan. Steve Lato, Larry Nyland, all afternoon will be out there live from Acme, Michigan. All that information is on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you can also find all of our programs on demand, as well as each individual interview from those programs as well. Then let's head over to our coronavirus page, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we have links to the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division, so that you can stay up to date on everything you need to know about the spread of COVID-19, precautionary tactics you may need to employ in your daily life, such as masking and of course, learn more about vaccinations and booster shots. Also on our coronavirus page at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, we feature articles from many journalistic outlets throughout the state of Michigan in order to keep you updated on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines across the Great Lakes state. Our top story today comes from Bridge, Michigan. I know it seems like it's been a real long time since we went back to our old friend, the coronavirus tracker. Cases, hospitalizations, once again are up, but again remain far below previous peaks. Michigan on Friday of last week reported 8,723 COVID-19 cases in that past week period, or about 1,246 per day, a 31% increase from the previous week and 56% more than 2 weeks ago. Caseloads are up in 44 of the state's 83 counties, but overall infection rates remain low, an average of 12 daily cases per 100,000 people. At the peak of the Omicron wave, the increase was 170 cases per 100,000 people. That's well over a tenfold difference between the surge and now, tenfold less at this moment in time than during the peak of the Omicron wave. The state also reported 68 additional confirmed COVID-19 deaths over the past week, or roughly 10 per day. There were an average of 11 daily COVID deaths in the previous week before, so that goes down by 1 over the course of a week. Only 2 counties have case rates above 20 per 100,000 residents, and that is Washtenaw County with 33 in 100,000 residents, and Oakland County with 21 in 100,000 residents COVID-19 positive. The latest data shows the percentage of positive coronavirus tests is now at 7.2%. That's up 1.7% from 5.5% where it was a week ago. The last time cases and testing rates rose this fast was last July, and into August, hospitalizations doubled in less than 2 weeks to over 900 COVID-19 patients. As of Wednesday of this week, though, statewide hospitalizations have increased from 532 to 532 from 478 on March 30th, an indication that widespread vaccinations, natural immunity, and apparently weaker strains of the virus are contributing to fewer serious illnesses. Additionally, making headlines on civiccentertv.com/coronavirus from our friends at the Detroit Free Press, the Grand Rapids Police conduct could come under investigation from the feds. Detroit Free Press reports this: the Michigan Department of Civil Rights is attempting to reboot an investigation into the Grand Rapids Police Department's conduct, seeking assistance from both Michigan's Attorney General's office and the Justice Department. The department initially launched an investigation in 2019 into whether Grand Rapids Police had engaged in a pattern and practice of quote-unquote discrimination in its policing. That investigation ultimately wasn't completed because of a lack of resources at the agency, but the fatal shooting of Patrick Lyoya by a Grand Rapids police officer has prompted conversations on relaunching a probe into the department. Michigan's Department of Civil Rights announced officially on Monday the agency had contacted Attorney General Dana Nessel's office, quote, for a potential collaborative effort, and closed quote, on an investigation of Grand Rapids police as a whole. A Michigan Department of Civil Rights spokesperson said the agency is currently investigating 29 individual complaints against the Grand Rapids Police Department's officers. Quote, the residents of Grand Rapids deserve to know what the state of Michigan takes seriously that the state of Michigan takes seriously their right to equal treatment under the law, and closed quote. Michigan Department of Civil Rights Director John Johnson said in a statement. The Attorney General's office has expressed willingness to assist in the department in its investigation. Quote, the Department of Attorney General is meeting with the Department of Civil Rights since their outreach last week regarding their ongoing investigation into the Grand Rapids Police Department, and close quote, said a spokesperson named Lindsay McComel in a statement. The Attorney General is committed to pulling the full resources of her office behind this effort, and closed quote. The Michigan Department of Civil Rights has also contacted the Federal Department of Justice for assistance on the investigation as well. Quote, pursuant to standard practice, the department considers all information provided to state agencies, including the MDCR, as well as any additional information in determining whether to open a pattern or practice investigation, says U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Michigan, Andrew Burge, in a statement. Michigan's Department of Civil Rights officials say the added resource from the state and the federal government would make an investigation into any pattern of repeated discrimination by Grand Rapids police much more feasible, saying, quote, as we know from other investigations into pattern and practice issues in policing, a thorough investigation of that sort can take years and require a kind of resources and staffing that the Department of Civil Rights simply does not have, said department spokesperson Vicki Levengood over an email. Levengood continued on by saying, quote, we have in the past and again in the wake of this tragedy approached our federal and state partners at the U.S. Departments of Justice and the Office of the Michigan Attorney General to ask them to bring in their resources to bear in collaborative effort to investigate the Grand Rapids Police Department so that the people of Grand Rapids will have answers and the city can make whatever changes may be necessary to help ensure that police protect and serve all Grand Rapids residents fairly and equally, and closed quote. The department's initial investigation into Grand Rapids Police was launched, of course, in May of 2019. In March of that year, department officials heard from more than 80 people who detailed their interactions with Grand Rapids police officers during a pair of listening sessions. In the department's 2019 annual report, agency officials said the listening sessions were prompted, quote, by a number of reports of discriminatory actions by officers of the Grand Rapids Police Department and the release of citizen-shot videos showing troubling interactions between police and residents of color, and closed quote. A Grand Rapids Police Department spokesperson said initial training as well as officers' annual training addresses topics including diversity, ethics, de-escalation, cultural competency, and recognizing implicit bias. Training standards are regularly reviewed, the spokesperson said. Lyoya, a 26-year-old Congolese refugee, was shot and killed by a Grand Rapids police officer on April 4th after attempting to run away during a traffic stop. In footage released by the Grand Rapids police last week Wednesday, after the police officer pulled over Lyoya's car, Lyoya appeared to not comply with the officer's request. The officer appeared to grab him and Lyoya ran, the videos show. The officer repeatedly kneed him and appeared at times to briefly grab him around the neck. The pair fought over the police officer's stun gun before the officer fatally shot Lyoya in the head. Lyoya was face down on the ground when he was shot. Lyoya's shooting and the release of footage have garnered national attention and sparked protests locally. Some demonstrators say the shooting is another example of the tenuous relationship Grand Rapids Police has with local communities of color. The Michigan State Police are currently conducting an investigation into the shooting. No charges have been brought against the officer involved in the shooting, who is currently on paid administrative leave and continues to remain anonymous by the Grand Rapids Police Department. Lastly, making headlines, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. This is from our friends at the Detroit News. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources says removing bird feeders is not urgent, but it could reduce the chance of spreading bird flu, which is currently going around in bird populations. A Michigan wildlife expert said removing outdoor feeders could help reduce the spread of bird flu. Avian influenza has been confirmed in at least 5 counties, those being Kalamazoo, Livingston, Macomb, Menominee, and Washtenaw counties, according to the Department of Natural Resources. It can infect a variety of birds, including chickens, turkeys, pheasants, quail, ducks, geese, wild birds, and domestic birds. The risk for people is considered to be low. Quote, if you're concerned about this virus and want to act from a place of abundant caution, removing your bird feeders for now makes sense, but it isn't yet a critical step, said Megan Moriarty, a state wildlife veterinarian. Moriarty continued on saying, quote, with warmer springtime weather on the way, too, birds will have more natural food sources readily available to them, so chances are many people will be taking feeders down in a few weeks anyway. The avian flu was discovered in domestic parrots in Washtenaw County, the latest detection reported by the DNR this week. All those headlines on our website at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, as well as those ever helpful links to up-to-date and accurate information on COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great program ahead on this Thursday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Coming up next, we'll speak with Michael Zappo from the Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority of Southwest Oakland County. And then at 10:40, musician and model McKayla Prew will join us live in studio, where she'll also perform one of her songs. That's all up next. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM. We often hear reduce, reuse, recycle as a saying to encourage sustainable use of goods and preventing further pollution from trash, but what does it mean to recycle and what mistakes may we be making as we attempt to do so? Joining us now to talk about that and more is Michael Zappo, the General Manager of Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority of Southwest Oakland County. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, good to have you with us. So first, can you tell us about the organization that you work with, the Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority of Southwest Oakland County? What sort of services does this authority provide to those in Oakland County, and who does it serve in the county?
Sure, Tyler. So the authority is a municipal solid waste authority. We represent 9 municipalities in Southwest Oakland County, stretching from Southfield out to South Lyon, and we help those communities manage and manage those programs for trash, recycling, yard waste, hazardous materials, everything dealing with the stuff that we bring into our homes and then want to get rid of at some point. We have in Southfield a materials recovery facility to which the recycled materials are brought for processing, made into commodities for the value chain, the critical supply chain, and shipped to market. That facility serves not just the 9 communities, though, that I represent, but a variety of communities throughout Southeast Michigan, including many communities in Oakland County, and then the surrounding counties as well. So we focus on trying to make sure that folks understand what can and cannot be recycled, and making sure that's properly prepared before we get it to prepare it for the critical supply chain.
So then what is exactly the process of recycling? Because people will put items that they believe are recyclable in the recycling bins. They'll be picked up by whatever trash authority is assigned to their municipality, and then off it goes, and we don't think about it again. But once those products are off and on their way to the recycling centers, where they're being processed, what happens from there in order to actually recycle these different items?
At a materials recovery facility, otherwise known as a MRF, what will happen is that material will get dumped out of the truck onto what we call the tip floor. And from that point, it then gets loaded into a system. That system is essentially a combination of mechanical and manual means of sorting those materials into the various commodities. And so we'll make bales of paper and bales of cardboard and bales of tin and bales of milk jugs. But along that way, what we have to do is make sure that we're pulling out those materials that aren't recyclable. Very often people will put something into their recycling cart, either because they think it's recyclable or in some cases just because they were looking for a convenient way to dispose of something. And so it's incumbent upon the team at the MRF to make sure that those materials are pulled out for a variety of reasons. One is that they can constitute contaminants to the actual product that's being shipped to a paper mill or a plastics processor. They can also present dangers to the employees that are sorting out these materials at the MRF. Some cases, like a lithium battery, may start a fire. In some cases, it may just be something that can damage some equipment, a big piece of metal that's larger than what the system can handle. So there's a variety of checkpoints along the way where people are pre-sorting the material, making sure that the non-recyclable materials are safely removed, and then the rest of the system then is involved in separating those materials into the various commodity grades, whether it's with optical sorters or rotating screens or magnets or eddy currents or by hand, whichever the case may be. And then, of course, all those material streams are quality checked before they go off to the baler, which bales these materials into their individual commodities in weights of 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, subsequently loaded onto a truck and then shipped off to the next destination, whether it's a paper mill here in Michigan, a plastics processor, or perhaps somewhere else in the United States.
And so after that point, when these products are shipped off to a paper mill or to a plastic processing plant or wherever they may go, having them then get eventually recirculated back into the population as that same product, fresh and new again, how does that process happen? Because whether it be paper that's got text printed all over it or images printed all over it or single-use plastics that have been dirtied up, I would imagine there's quite an extensive process that goes into re-preparing that to be usable again in some form or fashion.
Oh, indeed. So it varies by commodity. So, for example, aluminum can generally be made into another aluminum can. So it's a process of smelting it, and then it has to go through a cleaning process and a smelting process, and it's made into new aluminum cans. Something like paper goes through what we call a pulping process. So it goes through this sort of chemistry project at the paper mill where it's made into sort of a paste, and then contaminants are screened out. If it needs to be bleached because they want a lighter grade of paper that they're going to be using, or they in some cases, you'll see that, for example, some paper won't be made into the exact same thing it was made in before, but it'll be made into another type of paper, depending upon, what that mill produces. Plastics, much the same way. It'll go through a shredding process, then a washing and rinsing process, where it's ultimately either flaked or pelletized and made into essentially a raw material that can then be used in either blown molded or injection molded manufacturing to make new products. Very often it's going to be food packaging. In the case of paper, we're very often looking at making more packaging material like boxes for packaging food, packaging medical supplies, and packaging all the goods that we get on a regular basis, whether we go to a brick and mortar store and buy them or we get them shipped to our house by Amazon.
And so we're joined by Michael Zappo, the General Manager of the Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority of South Oakland County, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on rrasoc.org, rrasoc.org for more information, as they serve 9 different communities in Oakland County, that being the city of Farmington, Farmington Hills, Milford Township, Novi, Southfield, South Lyon, and Wixom. More information, again, rrasoc.org. LLC.org. And so, Michael, this is about the time where people will be beginning or already in process of doing some spring cleaning in their home, in their office, and so on. And a lot of these things that they are clearing out of their home, whether they be for cluttering reasons or they're no longer using them, whatever the reason may be. Oftentimes, they're simply just throwing them away. They're tossing them into a dumpster. They're tossing them into their trash can. A lot of these items, however, can be recycled. What are some of these items that are commonly thrown away instead of being recycled because of either a lack of knowledge on their recyclability or because they are just generally have always been considered trash?
Yeah, so it really falls into sort of two categories. I would suggest it's those things that are recyclable that go into your recycling cart or bin, and those are going to be old boxes and magazines and papers and that collection of National Geographics that's been sitting around for the last 40 years. All those things can go in your recycling container and they'll be made into a new paper product in some form or fashion. Very often people are recycling or trying to throw away, I should say, other types of things from their garages, their sheds, their basements. Things like oil-based paints, thinners, cleaners, pesticides, household chemicals. And it's really important to handle those things properly because, one, they don't belong in your recycling because they're not recyclable in that way, like your aluminum cans and your old magazines. But they also don't belong in your trash. And of course, we also don't want them improperly disposed. We don't want, old gasoline, for example, poured down a drain or poured out in the yard. There's a lot of environmental hazards there. So we want to make sure that stuff is handled properly. So depending upon where you live, your community will be part of an organization that will have a household hazardous waste collection program. In the 9 communities that we represent, we have 7 collection events each year where people can bring us the oil-based paints, the thinners, the cleaners, the pesticides, the old medications, for example. We want to make sure that those things are brought to one of those events so that if it's got some value left and can be made into something new, like if it's a combustible liquid that can be used for generating energy, we want to capture that energy content. If it's something that just needs to be disposed of properly so it doesn't contaminate the environment, doesn't come into contact with people or the environment through illicit dumping or improper disposal, we want to prevent that. So check with your community to find out when the next household hazardous waste collection event is, because at those events, that's really your opportunity to take all that stuff that you might be generating as part of the spring cleaning and making sure that it's going down the right pathway so that it's being handled safely and we're capturing the value if it has value. And if not, we're, again, making sure it's properly disposed so that we're not creating hazards. And one of the things that we like to focus on is old medications. And a lot of police departments also will take old pills. We want to have people routinely go through their medicine cabinets and go through the place where they store their medications and make sure they're not keeping around old medications that are either expired or there's something they don't need anymore. We don't want them to accidentally take the wrong medication. We certainly don't want people for whom that medication wasn't prescribed to get their hands on that medication. And that they don't also belong flushed down the toilet, because then it ends up in the ecosystem and that creates problems as well. So these hazardous waste events, as well as many police departments, are well equipped to take your old medications and make sure that they're properly handled in a safe way and in a secure way as well, so they don't fall into the wrong hands.
Visit your local police department headquarters or call your local police department on the non-emergency line in order to talk about whether or not they are involved in a drug take-back program such as Operation Medicine Cabinet or something else in your local area. And then we're also being joined today by Michael Zappel, the General Manager of the Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority of Southwest Oakland County. Their upcoming household hazardous waste disposal events include April 9th at the Wixom Department of Public Works, April 23rd at the RRA SOC MRF truck entrance, May 7th at the Oakland Community College Orchard Ridge campus located on Orchard Lake Road in Farmington Hills, and May 21st at the Milford Civic Center. More information on the website rrasoc.org. That's rrasoc.org. And so, Michael, we've talked about some of the common items in the home and your work environment that may be recyclable and are often thrown out. Let's go on the opposite end now. What are some of those common items that are often recyclable recycled go into the plants for sorting and then have to be sorted out because they're not actually recyclable, but people may think that they are.
Probably the most common item would be plastic bags or shrink wrap. You know, if you buy a case of water bottles, for example, it'd be in a cardboard box, which is readily recyclable. All those bottles, including the caps, are readily recyclable. But that shrink wrap around the outside that's holding those bottles in that box, it might be labeled as recyclable, but it is not something we can process. It gets tangled up in our equipment. You know, the plastics processors don't want it on a scale that would, you know, be generated. So that's something that's not recyclable. Plastic bags, you know, grocery bags, bags you might get from a retailer. Another big mistake we see folks making is they will collect their recyclables in a plastic bag and then put that plastic bag with recyclables in it in a container at a drop-off center or in their recycling cart or recycling bin. And that's a problem for us as well. We do not open bags for a couple of reasons. One is it's just not efficient. It really slows down the entire process and really creates a lot of problems for us. But the more important one is it's a safety issue. Our staff, they don't know what's in those bags. And if they, you know, they're not going to start opening up a bag because it might be something hazardous. It might be just trash. It might contaminate the rest of the material, and it might pose some sort of hazard to the staff person as well. So if we see bags of recyclables on our tip floor, those end up in the trash. So someone may have gone to the trouble of collecting the recyclables in a bag thinking they're doing something right, but because they improperly prepared them, we end up having to throw them away. And we see that with other items as well, even recyclable items. You know, if that dog food can has still got, you know, half a can of dog food in it, you know, we really can't use that. We do not want those organic food products, whether it's dog food or, you know, can of beans or whatever the case may be, with our recyclable materials. The places that we have to send them don't want the food in the product. We don't want it on our tip floor because it creates smells, it attracts vectors, you know, flies and raccoons and possums and you name it. So we ask people to make sure that their stuff is rinsed out. Now, they don't have to run that old food can or that soup can through the dishwasher. It doesn't have to be pristine, but we do want them to take the time to rinse it out, make sure it's clean, empty, and dry is the phrase that we like to use. And once it's clean, empty, and dry, it's certainly recyclable and can go in, you know, in your container. We also, of course, recommend that people visit our website or their community's website. We have a mobile app, in fact, called the Recycling Directory, where you can type in a material and it'll tell you what to do with it, whether or not it is recyclable, because we want people to familiarize themselves with the rules of what can and cannot be recycled. They'll find it's really pretty straightforward and there's a lot of common sense things in there, but we do find that people will sometimes be misled by the labeling on a package because it might say it's recyclable when in fact it's not. And then the other big mistake that is out there, it's really not folks' fault, but plastic products have this little arrows chasing arrows typically on the bottom with a number in the middle. And that's a resin code identifying the type of plastic out of which that product is made. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that it's recyclable. It just really says what type of plastic it is. But depending on how that product is made out of that type of plastic, it may or may not be recyclable. And it's only really recyclable, as I like to say, if it's practically recyclable. Can we cost effectively collect it at scale? Can we cost effectively and safely sort it at a processing facility? And perhaps most importantly, is there some place downstream, like a paper mill, like a plastics processor, like a metals processor, that wants that as a raw material that they can then either themselves or ship it further downstream to some manufacturer that will make that into a new product? Because if it can't be made into a new product, cost effectively, it's not really recyclable, even if it might be labeled as recyclable. So check your guidelines, check your rules. Many times you'll see stamped on the lid of your recycling cart what can and cannot go into that cart. And so then, of course, if there's any questions, folks can always reach out to either us or their municipality, or send us an email, give us a telephone call, or simply just check our website at rasoc.org to find out what can and cannot go into the recycling cart.
We're joined by Michael Zoppel, the General Manager of the Resource Recovery and Recycling Authority of Southwest Oakland County on the Michigan Megacast, rrrasoc.org for more information, rrrasoc.org to learn more, or you can also call them at 248-208-2270, 248-208-2270. Leslie, I live in an apartment complex. We don't have specific recycling services available. There's not a recycling dumpster that's there. This is a common problem, not just here in Michigan, but really everywhere that recycling happens. Has this void in the recycling system, has that been ever even remotely addressed? And if not, then, and if it's not something that could potentially be solved anytime soon, what should those that are living in an apartment or in another facility that does not include recycling services, what should they do in order to contribute to recycling these products?
And so that is a problem that's being worked on, and there's a couple of ways to address it. In the near term, many of us, like the authority, we have a drop-off facility. We have a drop-off facility in Southfield, and we have a drop-off facility in Novi, and people can find the location of that on both those sites on our website. And those sites accept the same things that a single-family homeowner would be able to put in their recycling cart. So we encourage people that live in apartments to make themselves aware of those opportunities. And we're not the only drop-off sites in Oakland County. There are other sites, and there are other sites throughout Southeast Michigan, and of course across the country. We are also working, from a broader policy standpoint, to figure out ways to encourage multifamily recycling. Very often, it ends up being the responsibility of the folks that own that apartment complex to provide for those services for their tenants, but they're not going to do that unless their tenants value that and want that service at their site. That on-site recycling that can be done logistically, it's a little bit more complicated than curbside recycling for single-family homes, but it can be done at multifamily units. But the tenants have to want it, and the managers of those facilities have to make those arrangements. Sometimes logistically, it's a little bit more challenging because historically, apartment complexes weren't designed to accommodate recycling services. And so, there are some workarounds that may have to be done. But at the end of the day, it is possible. And we're working, as a recycling community, and the state of Michigan through its Renew Michigan program is trying to figure out ways to encourage more multifamily and apartment recycling. But in the meantime, we do have our drop-off sites available, and folks are more than welcome to use it, whether or not they live in our 9 communities or not. If they live in one of the neighboring communities that doesn't have a drop-off and they don't have at-home recycling, they can bring it to our drop-off in Novi or in Southfield, and we'll take it from there.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes of Town.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
211, how can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. Learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll learn more information about every one of our partnering stations all throughout Oakland County, both on TV, on the radio, and on the web. And you can also find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand there as well. Again, civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us now on the program is McKayla Prew, a local Oakland County singer-songwriter and a contestant in the Miss Oakland County competition as well. McKayla, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So first of all, obviously for those that are watching on the TV side and on the web side, the radio they can't see, you are wearing a crown.
I am.
Now, you're not just being extra.
No.
You've earned that crown. Tell us about that process. Where did you earn the crown, and how was that whole ordeal for you?
Yes, so I'm Miss Oakland County, USA currently, and the state pageant for the Miss Michigan USA title is at the end of the month in May, which is super exciting. So I actually found out I won in Texas, which was insane. I was in Austin, Texas for the South by Southwest Festival, and because of COVID, the pageant went a little differently and a lot of things were virtual. So I got a call from the director in Austin, and they're like, hey, you won Miss Oakland County. So that was super exciting. So I came home and got a crown. The sash hasn't come in yet because of COVID and the delays in shipping and everything, but I'm wearing a crown and being extra, like Tyler said. But it is so exciting, and I advocate food allergy awareness and education. So what I do in the Miss USA competition is I personally have food allergies. I'm allergic to peanuts and tree nuts. And a lot of the labeling that is a part of the FDA isn't very user-friendly for people who have allergies. So if you ever look on a package, like a label, and it says like made in the same facility or made on the same equipment or may contain, those are all voluntary statements. And those are statements that people with allergies look for. And the fact that they're voluntary by companies is insane, because that is a life or death situation for somebody. So with my title, I'm advocating food allergy awareness and education to eventually change labeling on packaging to make the world a safer place for people with allergies. And I partnered up with the nonprofit Red Sneakers for Oakley, who's a national nonprofit based out of Florida. And they do a lot of fundraising, a lot of events to raise allergy awareness. So it's really nice to team up with them and advocate it.
And so when you do compete in May at the national level, you have one at the county level. Is it then, so I'll skip back a step. Is there now a state competition, or do you go straight to the national level representing Oakland County, one of Michigan's 83 counties?
Yeah, so the pageant in May is the state. And then if you win that, then you go to nationals.
Okay. And so what sort of difference does that competition, from your knowledge, does that pageant have from the Oakland County's pageant? And how do you then prepare yourself for the statewide pageant versus the preparation that went into the Oakland County pageant?
So they're very the same. It's a lot of the same prep, same things. So the state pageant is definitely really sharpening your skills. It's sharpening your interview skills. It's sharpening your public speaking skills. It's sharpening what you advocate for. So it's really a way to figure out how you want to portray yourself. So at the local competition, obviously it's a smaller group of people. And then once you get to the state, it's everyone in the state of Michigan. So it's going from competing just with girls in Oakland County to girls in the entire state. So it's really just developing your confidence, developing your skills that can really push you to potentially go to the national level.
So you're also a musician, you're a singer-songwriter, and you're also now competing in pageants. Which one came first? And if it was music, What then drew you to pageantry?
So music definitely came first. I started performing from the age of 4, and I did musicals. I did a lot of acting. So I went to West Bloomfield schools growing up, and I actually, in my 8th grade year in Abbott Middle School, which I don't think is going to be Abbott Middle School anymore. I think they're closing that down, which makes me sad. But it's great that they're developing a new middle school. It's incredible. But I was Sharpay in High School Musical, which for the 8th grade show is really fun. But I've done a lot of other local pageants and musical theater growing up. So I was in the Miss America organization, and I still compete in the Miss America organization. And with that, you have a talent. So I've always sang, I've always written songs. And so I developed a new outlet to be able to sing and perform my music. I found out about pageants, and I was like, hey, people can hear my voice this way and hear my songs this way. Might as well do it. And it's helped me develop as a person too, being able to present myself and being able to speak to people, and definitely build up a stage presence when you go on stage, and you have to be your own person to compete.
We're joined by McKayla Prew, singer-songwriter and also a pageant model, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. She is currently 2022 Miss Oakland County, USA. The state competition will be happening in May. You're also a singer-songwriter and an award-nominated singer-songwriter at that as well. You were nominated in the 2022 Detroit Music Awards for a number of different categories, including Outstanding Country Artist, Outstanding Country Song, and Outstanding Songwriter. You mentioned that you began performing about 4 years old, and music was that first great interest in performance for you. How has that developed over time? I would imagine it began as something that was a bit of a curiosity, being that you were 4 years old and you're just garnering that interest. Where did it then become a passion for you?
When I was younger, I feel like music has always been a passion, just even from a young age. I always wanted to be in theater. I always wanted to be on the stage. I always wanted to be singing. We really started to realize that I had a talent. Well, my mom did when I was little, and we were in the grocery store, and you know those carts that have the cars on the front of them, and the little kids drive in the cars. So I was singing in one of those cars, and just in the grocery store. I was 4, I was young, and a lady comes around the aisle and looks at my mom and goes, "Is that her?" And my mom goes, "Yeah, that's her." She goes, "I'm a vocal coach." She goes, "If she's still singing like that when she's 8, you need to get her in vocal training, and you need to get her out there." So if she's still into it. And I was into it. I loved doing it growing up. I love songwriting. That was always something that I've always done. It's been really cathartic for me. It's a good outlet for me to express me and my emotions. So using that as a songwriter, it became a passion very, very quickly. And it's a lifestyle basically at this point.
And so now you are continuing to develop songs. You've written multiple songs in recent years. You've recorded these songs, and you've even collaborated with some music dynamos in the industry. You collaborated with Snoop Dogg's bass player and a Detroit music legend in T Money Green. Where did that relationship develop?
So I host a show with him. It's called Hyped Up Live Sessions Next Generation. And what we do with that show is it's a series continuation off of his original show, Hyped Up Live Sessions. So the Next Generation is promoting local talent from the Metro Detroit area. We look for people kind of 29 and under, which is the new generation of music, to come on and show their talent and show their original music. If they're a band, singer, songwriter. So if any of you out there, if that's you or you know somebody out there, please feel free to contact me. And so I met him on a set for a music video, actually. Okay. And I went up to him and I go, "Hi, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a musician." My mom and I talked to him, gave him my flyer, and he goes, "I really like you. Let's make a show." Because I've always wanted to do something of developing young talent in Detroit, because growing up as a young talent here in Metro Detroit, the music industry is very hard, and it is very hard to get yourself heard, and it is very hard for you to even get out there. So especially having somebody like Tony, for you to go on a show with his platform, with his connections and his people watching, and go on and perform, it's a huge outlet and a huge opportunity. And I'm so blessed for it, and I'm so glad that I can give back to the community, and he can as well, to develop young artists here.
And let's talk more about that, about developing those other artists too. I mean, you are just 19, so you are yourself a young artist in this industry as well. but you've had that support from Tony, from T Money Green, and you've had that support in the industry, and you've kind of seen a little bit of it firsthand that maybe some other musicians that are coming up that are of your age, a little bit younger, a little bit older, haven't seen. So for you, as both a musician and just as somebody that has gone through this process yourself, how does that play into your desire to do this show and to have that platform with Tony to support the next generation of musicians that are coming in with you and those that will be after you?
Yeah, so in the industry, so like I'm the only musician in my family, and so when you don't really have those music connections already, it is very hard when you are first starting out. And so growing up and in the music industry, it's very about getting yourself out there and being able to walk up to somebody and say, hi, I'm a singer-songwriter, want to listen to my things, or can you help me? It's a big opportunity to be able to go and perform anywhere. If you are able to perform on a stage anywhere you are, take it, because that is the way for you to get heard. That's a way for you to build your stage presence. If you're scared, do it scared. I have to do it scared sometimes, depending on what it is. You know, everyone has nerves. Everyone gets nervous, and it's just a matter of being confident in yourself and knowing that you can do it, because it's possible for anybody. It's very discouraging sometimes when you see other people and you're like, man, I don't think I'll ever get there. I don't think I can ever do that. But the reality is anybody can do it if you just work hard enough and just try to get yourself out there as much as possible.
And I would imagine, too, especially in an industry as competitive as music and as competitive in a broader sense as entertainment, that developing those strong connections with people that are already in the industry in a more advanced position, people like Tony, and other musicians that are working their way into the industry, is also very important in developing and honing your own craft, but also building your career.
100%. You have to be very sure of what you want, and obviously take pointers from other people. If someone suggests something, listen to it and develop what you want to develop. And if they have a good idea that you like, then add it into it. But sometimes people want to change what you want to do. Sometimes people want to make you into something that you necessarily don't want to be. And my advice personally is you will succeed if you are doing what you want to do versus what someone else tells you to do. If you are loving what you're doing, if you're passionate about what you're doing, and I believe that you should make music that you're proud of and that make music that makes you happy versus what someone else tells you will make people happy. So that's a big thing in the industry, is just being steadfast in who you are and what you want to create.
We're joined by McKayla Prew, a singer-songwriter from the Oakland County area, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. If you'd like to learn more information, or if you yourself are a musician and would like to be on her program with Tony T Money Green, Hyped Up Live Sessions Next Generation, the email to get in contact with them is hypeduplivesessionsnextgen@gmail.com. That's hypeduplivesessionsnextgen@gmail.com. And so, McKayla, let's dive more into your music. You have a lot of music that's already been out. You're working on a new EP called Yeehaw, and several other new pop genre songs as well. You have a couple that have already been out or are coming out soon. Let's talk first about your song Gone.
Yes. So I wrote that song, I don't know if some people may remember, about eight years ago, I think. There was a boating accident on Sylvan Lake with the Mansour family. Adriana Mansour, she graduated high school last year at WB 2021, and gosh, she's amazing. And so I'm very close with the Mansour family. Her mom's my godmom. Okay. And I wrote the song Gone about her losing her three kids. So two kids, Alex and Gabby, and then Adriana being in the hospital. So how I wrote that is she has a page on Instagram where she writes about like kind of her grieving process and what comes to her mind. And I was reading through the page and I was like, man, this would be like a really good song for her. I just really wanted to make something for her because I know that when you're going through a specific time, a lot of people go through music to try and find something that resonates with them to help them get through it and kind of put their words into another platform. And so I wrote that for her, and I played it to her for the first time, and she goes, you don't know how long I've looked for a song that embodies everything I feel, and I have one now. And sadly, Gone has come into a lot of play with COVID and people losing family members, friends, relatives. I've sang it at a few funerals, which was very hard, but it's very nice to talk to the families and see how my song is helping them get through a time. It's kind of a magical thing, hearing about how your music and your thoughts can impact somebody else in such a big way, which is mainly why I love to songwrite, because you help people with their emotions that sometimes people can't even put into words. So it's very giving, and it's very also receiving for me, because it makes me happy to see other people like my music.
We're joined by McKayla Prew, a singer-songwriter and also 2022's Miss Oakland County, USA, with a statewide competition for Miss Michigan, USA, coming up in May. Joining us on the Oakland County Megacast, and you have another song, Fake Friends, which we'll have you perform for us in just a moment here. Tell us about the song first, and then we will have your mom, who has your guitar back there, bring that up to you and have you perform for us.
Cool, yeah. So I wrote Fake Friends in high school, and it's about fake friends, believe it or not. But it's about, I think it resonates with a lot of people throughout every stage of their life, not only just high schoolers and young kids, because I believe everyone has come into contact with fake friends and people that you think are there for you and end up not being there for you. And a lot of the times when you start doing your career, like I've noticed with music, people that you thought would be there for you are not really there. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but at the same time, it's a really good life lesson. And I wrote Fake Friends to try and help people all through stages of life who do have fake friends, know that they're not alone and know that they can get through it, and all they need is really the love of themselves. So that song is a single. I have 4 singles out right now. So I've Gone, Prince, Fake Friends, and Mine. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, I'm releasing the EP Yeehaw, and that's going to be more country pop music. Okay. And I'm going to be releasing that towards the end of May. And then after that, like you said, I'm going to go more towards a pop genre, because I really like to broaden my sound. I don't really want to put myself in one lane. I think it's very cool to experiment with what you can do, and I enjoy all types of music. So since I enjoy all types of music, I want to make all types of music. And so I really want my music to resonate with all different types of people and whatever genres they listen to, as well as genres that I like to listen to. So the first EP I wanted to do is country pop, because that's what I always wanted to do growing up. My first thing, I always wanted it to be country pop. I listened to that growing up. And then now that I'm older and my songwriting has developed and me as an artist has developed, which my production and what ideas I have, that goes more in the more pop, dance, hyper pop realm. So I'm very excited for that and very excited for people to hear it.
So we'll have you go ahead and play Fake Friends for us so people can hear the song now. And again, I'll reset while McKayla gets herself ready over there. We're joined by McKayla Prew. She is from the Oakland County area, West Bloomfield, Waterford, currently a White Lake resident. She is also the 2022 Miss Oakland County, USA. That state competition, she'll be competing for Miss Michigan, USA, coming up in May. And so we'll keep up to date on that. She's also the co-host of Hyped Up Live Session Next Generation with Snoop Dogg's bass player and Detroit musical legend Tony T Money Green. You can learn more information, and if you're a musician or know a musician that would be good for that show, or would like to talk to McKayla and talk to T Money, you can email them hypeduplivesessionsnextgen@gmail.com. That's hypeduplivesessionsnextgen@gmail.com. You can find McKayla and her music on YouTube, on Spotify, on YouTube Music, and on Pandora as well. And one of the songs you'll hear on all of those different platforms is one of her singles, Fake Friends. McKayla.
Thank you. So this is Fake Friends. You can find it on all music streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, and I'm so glad to play it for you today. So this is the acoustic stripped down version.
To where were you when I needed you? I'm sorry, excuse, why wasn't I invited to? My heart is black and blue. Feeling numb, where did I go wrong? Feeling like I don't belong. 4 years never felt so long. Fake friends don't need catch my breath. Let's hang, I can't. Where's my mistake? My heart, I feel it break. I say I miss you. You say I'll see you soon. But where are you? I try to breathe with no air, but they don't even seem to care. This is so not fair. I'm tired of all these fake friends. Don't need any one of them. It's just me in the end. I don't need these fake friends. I don't need them. I don't need them. I don't need these fake friends. My BFFs, can't you see my best fake friends hanging without me? My BFFs hanging without me. My BFFs, can't you see my best fake friends hanging without me? My BFFs hanging without me. Seriously, I'm tired of all these fake friends. Don't need any one of them. It's just me in the end. I don't need these fake friends. I don't need them. I don't need them. I don't need these fake friends. Yeah, I'm tired of all these fake friends. Don't need any one of them. It's just me in the end. I don't need these fake friends. I don't need them.
McKayla Prew with us on the Oakland County Megacast. McKayla, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
Appreciate it. You can find McKayla's music in a number of different places. If you go to Instagram, it's at McKayla Prew, McKaylaPrew. Facebook, it is facebook.com/McKayla Prew Music, and you can also find on her Instagram and on her Facebook page a Linktree link that will take you to all the information you need to know about other places you can find her on your favorite music platforms such as Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, and more. We're going to take a break. On the other side, on your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills, we'll talk about Michigan travel and tourism with our good friend Dave Lorenz. That's next. This is the Megacast.
We may come from different organizations,
But we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban
Spring, summer, and fall are some of the most eventful seasons for Michiganders and visitors alike to explore all that the Great Lakes State has to offer. Joining us now to preview a travel season that may be a major boom for Michigan's economy and the Michigan spirit is Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan. Dave, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Tyler. It's good to be with you. And I think you're right. We are ready to travel. I look at all the research, but I also talk to my friends and I know how I feel. I'm ready to travel. And the research we look at really does show a huge pent-up demand for domestic traveler, Americans who want to come and visit Pure Michigan, and for international travel too. Those folks, our friends in Canada, they can't wait to get here. We just need to make it easier for those international folks to cross those borders, and we're trying to get there too. So it's going to be a busy summer. I'm going to say this more than once, so I'll say it right now. Book your rooms now. I just want to tell you, I don't want you to be disappointed. So book your rooms now, and then we'll talk about some other tips down the road too.
We're joined by Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. So part of what makes Michigan so unique is the different specialty areas all across the state for festivals, for specific events. And one of the first that's coming up in the spring and summer season is May 7th through 15th in Holland, Michigan, on the west side of the state. It's the Tulip Time Festival. Can you tell those who have never been to Holland for this event about that event and what makes it so special having this event in one of our great cities in western Michigan?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I always think of Blossom Time down in the Benton Harbor, St. Joe area, and Tulip Time in Holland is kind of the beginning of spring for me. Almost always. They just tend to have great weather. I don't know how they do it, but they just get lucky. But this year's festival is going to be slightly different, just like everybody else. We've had to make adjustments for many reasons. And the festival this year is going to not have, I don't think they're going to do that Wednesday Volks Parade. They're going to do the big Volks Parade, the People's Parade, on Saturday the 14th. It's the one I typically am in, and I'm sweeping with my wooden shoes, keep cleaning those streets. So I'm hoping the schedule is going to allow me to be there that day. And even if I'm not invited to be in the parade, I'm going to be on the sidelines, because it's really cool to see so many people dressed up in Dutch regalia, traditional Dutch regalia, representing all assets of, or all various sectors of society, from, you know, people who would be working the fields to the noblemen, so to speak, and women. So that's a really cool thing to see. And then, of course, you have all the other parade elements that everybody's used to seeing and hearing. Lots of bands. And I think we really do need to get out and support these parades and just enjoy hearing them and watching them this year. It's going to be great to have that all back. And of course, this festival, like so many others, they have the big carnival that starts that prior weekend, around the 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that of May. And then we have a whole bunch of other things that people have come to expect and really love, like the Dutch dancing demonstrations. They're all over the place. Seeing those young people, and occasionally not so young, dance with wooden shoes. Occasionally, it's kind of like a baseball game. You have to keep your eyes open. Occasionally, a wooden shoe goes flying, so keep your eyes open. And it's just a blast. Plenty of fun shows as well, including an artist who will appear and sound like Elton John. So it's going to be a great week.
We're joined by Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Also on the west side of the state, one of the more renowned gems of the state of Michigan is the Meyer Gardens out in Grand Rapids, and they have a blooming event that's coming up, a butterflies blooming event in Grand Rapids that's coming up too, and their summer concert series is also going to be back this summer as well. For those that have not visited the Meyer Gardens, can you just give them a little bit of insight into what they may experience over there and some of the special events that will be happening back in one of those pillars of pure Michigan?
Happy to do that. I used to work for Fred Meyer, and I just so loved Fred and the whole family because they're so special, and they've given back so much to that community, and to tell you the truth, to every community where there's a Meyer store, and even more so. Fred was a very humble man. He didn't want to put his name on buildings or such. So you might be surprised that local baseball park in your town or whatever, very likely supported by the Meyer family. And so when you go to Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park, what you're going to see is Fred and Lena's passions. Lena was a real lover of gardens, and Fred was a real lover of sculpture. And they blended their passions together for the nation's largest such garden and sculpture park. And it's kind of in the kind of north part of Grand Rapids, just off of I-96 at Beltline. It is an awesome place. And you don't have to really kind of be into either of these things to really enjoy walking through the displays, the gardens, the sculptures, both indoors and outdoors. And of course, they have special events all the time. You mentioned the Fred and Dorothy Fichter Butterflies Are Blooming event that's happening right now, the most popular event they have of the year. I was just there last week. I've been there many times, and for this specific event, there's just something about going into that tropical conservatory. It's about 85 degrees, especially if we get one of those, you know, kind of return to winter days that we tend to have this time of year. It's nice going into that beautiful warm gallery of flora and see all these beautiful plants. And then don't be surprised if a butterfly lands on your shoulder because they're all over the place, and they're from all over the world. That's a pretty cool thing to see, especially in that environment. So check it out right now. It's very popular though, so make sure to go in advance online to get your tickets. We always say your trip begins at michigan.org. I always forget the various websites to the various places. So the easiest way to do it, go to michigan.org, do a search for either Butterflies Are Blooming or Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park, and then you'll get to their website and book your time when you want to be there and just spend the day really enjoying that. And then while you are in the Grand Rapids area, just like every other festival or event, make sure to take that time also to experience and explore the community. Grand Rapids area is a beautiful town. And like so many bigger cities, it's been pretty hit by COVID. So the more we can support these towns and these events, the faster we're going to recover, get people back to work, get our economy going, and get our lives back as well. So check it out. You're going to love it. The other places to go to in Grand Rapids that are just musts include the Gerald R. Ford Museum, right across the street from the Grand Rapids Public Museum. Check out the fantastic Art Museum. There's so many things to see. You're going to love it.
We're joined by Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Dave, as the sun comes out, as the weather gets into the 50s, into the 60s, and beyond, that also kicks off golf season here in the state of Michigan, one of the favorite spring and summer and fall pastimes of Michiganders and visitors to the state. Can you tell us about some of the many different golf courses and some that are golf courses and resorts across the state of Michigan that may be hidden gems for those golf enthusiasts?
Absolutely true. We have more than 650 public golf courses in the state. We're the number 1, 2, or 3. I've lost track on numbers of public golf courses, but this is the thing that nobody else can compare with us. We have the best value for great golfing in this state. Value, of course, is that kind of combination and that connection between price and quality. So when you go to one of our golf courses, in any of the state, anywhere, basically, you're going to have a really good deal for what you get. And that's basically because we have so many golf courses, there's a lot of competition. And the other cool thing about that is you don't have to go very far. And there's a golf course, there are many golf courses, that will suit your style and your skill level. I used to golf 3 times a week, got to expect to be pretty good. Now that I golf like 3 or 4 times a year, not so good. But I can always find a place to go. And if you're in the right group, doesn't matter how good you are, it's all about having fun and connecting with people. It's a great way for us to get back together again in a golf course, whether it's for leisure or for a business connection. There's nothing like, after a business meeting, getting together on one of our Michigan golf courses, talking about the day, doing a little business, and getting to know each other. That's how networking works. That's how you make business in the future as well. There's nothing like it at a golf course. So a couple of big places to go to, maybe for a little bit of a drive, even though the kind of southeast Michigan area offers many good golf courses. You might want to consider kind of that Gaylord region, places like Treetops Resort, fantastic. Treetops, when you get there, you know why it's called that, because it's such a hilly area. You are overlooking this beautiful river territory, and then before you get there, you see all these trees. It's amazing. They have an incredible 3 tops course, which is just very, very special, and it's a par 3. And then the rest of the courses, multiple courses there. This is the thing. You go to a place like this, within minutes, you could be on another course, which is just as beautiful. Most people will think of that Traverse City area, multiple courses. I was on the Wolverine course last year myself at Grand Traverse Resort. Spectacular. And I love that it had a lot of room because I tend to spray the ball all over the place. So that was great. There are golf courses that are unique and special in places like Mackinac Island, the Jewel. And then they have a golf course. This has been there for a long time. I'm going to mess up the name, so I won't try. A Native American name. And that is pretty special, too. It's literally on an old War of 1812 battlefield is where that golf course is. So, man, we have them, and they're all over the place. You're going to love it.
More information about golfing in Michigan, as well as other unique vacation spots and interesting activities at michigan.org. We're joined by Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, on the Michigan Megacast. One of my favorite places to go at two different points of the year and the changes of seasons, as we change from winter to spring and from summer to fall, is to go to East Lansing, go to the campus of Michigan State University and explore over there, especially in the spring as the flowers are blossoming, particularly over there in the Beal Gardens, but also happening on the campus of Michigan State University currently is their 10th annual MSU Science Festival. Can you tell us a little bit about that event that's happening now through April 30th in East Lansing?
Yeah, in fact, I'm trying to find a way to get to that science festival, science fair myself, because I've never been there, but I've heard great things. You know, we all talk about STEM and the importance for us to integrate the value of having a better understanding of science and technology and all that. Well, here's an opportunity for you to bring the kids, bring young people, have them see kind of real life examples of how science is such an important part of our lives, and maybe something for young people to look at as a career down the road. And the best part about it, it's free. So check that out at the MSU campus and be inspired. And when you go to MSU, of course, we tend to think of the MSU campus for obviously great school that it is, great sports teams that they offer. I want to have a shout out for the Wharton Center, the big theater there, the beautiful theater. Not only is it great and they offer great shows, but the entire Lansing area has been intentional about being welcoming to folks on the spectrum. For people with challenges, with sensitivity challenges, with autism and other issues, Lansing has really intentionally tried to make sure that their attractions are built and that they have events that meet the needs of the disabled community, specifically about things with autism. So the Wharton Theater, for instance, when they have a musical, they very often will have one musical out of that series where they bring down the intensity of the lights and the sound and other things that might be challenging for someone with autism. I love that. I love that they're thinking about that. And we're trying to get the rest of the state and the rest of the country, frankly, to think along these lines as well, because if we're not welcoming to all, we're not welcoming. And so we need to think about the disabled community as well, and all that we can do to make sure that those folks are able to take advantage of everything else that everybody else can as well.
We're joined by Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Lastly, on the specific events side coming up, and this is one that I know the king of television, Larry Nyland, our producer, is very excited about. Next week, April 19th through 21st, is the Pure Michigan Governors Conference at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa in Acme, just outside of Traverse City, a city you mentioned earlier on. Can you tell us about this conference, and is it open to the public if people want to experience this event like our producer Larry Nyland will be next week with Steve Lato and others from My Michigan TV?
Yeah, we've closed registration. We had to limit registration. You know, we're still going through COVID protocols, so we wanted to make sure that we didn't have that many more than 400 attendees. This is where we do the business of travel, and this is where travel industry experts from all over the state come together and we share best insights, we network, we have tremendous speakers. We're going to talk about issues like DEI, and it's important to realize when we come together, our industry wants to make sure we're not just, checking a box, that we're learning how to be sensitive to diversity issues, how to be more inclusive, how to celebrate the fact that this state is a very diverse state. Not only celebrate it, but how we encourage people to travel and get to places where people appear to be different just because of the way we look. But in reality, after we do that and we have full immersion in other communities, we understand we're all the same. We all want a better life for our kids and grandkids. That's what travel does. It helps us to understand these things. So we'll have a couple of speakers and a couple of sessions on this very important issue. We'll also talk about international marketing. We're going to hear from Pauline Frommer from Frommer's Guidebooks on things that the travel industry needs to be aware of, including the whole thing about accessibility and diversity and such. And then we'll have some other folks on kind of research and whatever else. And then I get to go into detail about what we're doing with the Travel Michigan campaign, how we're trying to stay ahead of the game, always be trendsetters, and always stay ahead with the message that we realize we're not perfect. We have a lot to learn and a lot to learn together. And with that thought, we're pretty proud of this place, this very diverse place with diverse people and diverse places to experience. And we're going to try to showcase to the travel industry what we're going to do to get people traveling again. And we need to get them back. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a busy couple of days.
We're joined by Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Dave, before we let you go, you mentioned earlier on you got some helpful tips for Michiganders and visitors hoping to visit Michigan all throughout the next several seasons with all these great events and different sites to see, and Michigan being back open for the warmer seasons of the year. Can you provide us some of that advice? Of course, you mentioned booking those hotel rooms early. What other advice do you have for Michigan travelers this season?
Yeah, thank you for that. Explore this great state. We have so much to offer, and unfortunately, people tend to only go to the waterfront areas. Hey, they're beautiful. We understand that. But remember, we have 11,000 inland lakes in the states as well. So we have a lot to offer in the waterfront forest area, trails everywhere, as we mentioned, golf courses everywhere. So explore the lesser known places. It's going to be easier to get in there, fewer people, and better rates. So consider that. As in addition to booking early, do a little exploring and consider the cities. We typically in the summertime go to, the beaches and whatever, but our cities offer great experiences too. I'm going to be at the Tigers game next Friday night. I can't wait. And then when I'm there, I'm going to show a friend the DIA, the wonderful museum. We're going to go to the Henry Ford Museum as well. We're going to check out the Woodward Corridor. We're going to kind of go all around the downtown Detroit area. And then we're going to kind of check out the entire region to the degree that we have time. And then, so that's a great example of how you can stretch out your experience wherever you go, just by kind of thinking about these kind of new places maybe you haven't been to or haven't been to for a while. And really, let's do what we can to support those cities. They need us back right now.
Dave, anything else for us or for Michigan travelers and visitors before we let you go today?
Just remember, as we always say, Tim Allen, you'll start to see and hear our ads out there right now. Maybe see some billboards out and such. Your trip begins at Michigan.org. I'm thrilled to tell you, within a couple of days, we'll be launching our new website. It will be the most accessible state travel website in the country. We already are, but we're really proud of this move we're making to make it easier for people who can't see, and they'll be able to still enjoy the website as well. And if you are without sight, you know what I mean with these various reader technologies that we have. So we're thrilled about that. Michigan.org. Check it out now, and then check it out in a week. I think by the next week we'll have it launched.
Again, that is Michigan.org. Thank you, Dave.
Good to talk to you, Tyler.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program by visiting our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is the founder and the web design specialist at Webdroid, LLC, Joshua Ashford. Joshua, thanks for joining us today.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show. So you are a 2021 graduate of Techtown, Detroit's retail boot camp. Can you tell our viewers about what TechTown's Detroit Retail Bootcamp is and how that has helped you in developing Webdroid.
Sure. So again, thank you for having me. I did participate in TechTown's 2021 cohort, the Retail Bootcamp. I ended up winning the cohort for my idea that was based in esports and technology. So the cohort is pretty much a 8 to 12 week incubator where you compete with other business owners in the city of Detroit. And at the end, you have a pitch competition. And you compete for a $5,000 grand prize, which I ended up winning for my new initiative based around esports.
So yeah, you were one of 6 RBC graduates to be awarded that Kickstart Award for Webdroid. Can you tell us about Webdroid, which is the business that you began with that Kickstart from RBC and that award? Tell us about your business and what inspired you to build Webdroid.
Sure. Thanks for that question. So Webdroid began in 2018 as a web development firm. I work in technology, and I started to work with other small businesses in and around the city of Detroit to build websites for them. That led me down a coding instructor path that I ended up exploring with working within the different DPS school systems. And that led me to be exposed to a lot of the young people here in Detroit. And I was able to pick their brain. I was able to mentor them and teach them how to code. And that ended up leading me down a path where I asked them one day, I said, hey, what do you guys do, when you aren't, in school and whatnot, when you guys go home and these sorts of things? What are some of your hobbies? And he said, when we go home, we game. We sit on the computer or we play video games. And I said, for us to try to get them into all of these tech adjacent programs that we're running right now, we want to meet them where they are. Right. And meeting them where they are looks like esports. So that's where the idea came from. That was the inspiration for it. It's really a community-based initiative to engage the young people of Detroit in what they already enjoy doing.
Especially during the pandemic, e-commerce became a big buzzword as people were buying gifts during the holiday season or even doing their grocery shopping online or other forms of shopping. And then for those participating in esports as well, especially as esports institutions, specific teams, even college teams and professional teams were coming into the fold as well. That creates a different set of needs for websites and for web development and for web services. How do those needs differ from maybe a more standard or not so much standard, but more old school run-of-the-mill business, different from this that's entirely based in interconnectivity and in the web?
Exactly. Well, like you just mentioned, it's really 2 different aspects, right? And what you just mentioned was significant because we saw a lot of pivots happening during the pandemic, right? We saw a lot of huge organizations go virtual, completely virtual. We saw a lot of organizations and restaurants, go out of business, right? Because they weren't able to necessarily pivot in these sorts of things. So you're completely right when you say, the digital aspect of running a business versus the in-person aspect are really 2 separate things, but they both lend towards, that business's identity. For the young people, they are interested in coding. Technology is a really, really emerging industry that has a lot of potential for, future development and, longevity. But another tech adjacent industry is esports with over 370 million players and watchers worldwide. It's only growing, right? And it's going to continue to grow. They're speaking about having esports be a part of the Olympics in 2024, right? It was supposed to be a part of it this past Olympics in 2020, so it's just growing, and being able to bring that to the forefront in a program type of aspect and compartmentalize it so that more young people can be a part of it is really what I'm passionate about.
We're joined by Joshua Ashford, the founder and web specialist at Webdroid, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on their website, webdroid.online. That is webdroid.online for more information. How did you come up with the name for your business? Why Webdroid?
Webdroid, I'm a sci-fi geek. I love sci-fi. That's my whole thing. I'm a movie buff. My whole family's always been in the movies. And when I started the firm, again, it was based originally in app development, web design. So I said, hey, I want to make sure that, people can know the title just from namesake. So I want website, web something to be incorporated. And I was watching Star Wars one day and said, that droid's kind of cool. Maybe I should incorporate some type of droid aspect into it. And a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you just kind of combine them, like a web droid kind of thing. And I said, I think I'll go with that. Didn't spend too much, didn't second guess it too much. I went with it and I've been running with it ever since.
Joshua Ashford is joining us on the Michigan Megacast, the founder and web design specialist at Webdroid, LLC, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Their website, again, webdroid.online. That's webdroid.online. And in addition to working with esports teams and with e-commerce businesses, you also do a lot of work with the Boys and Girls Club. Can you tell us about your involvement with that organization and how your business assists in that organization's work in the community?
Sure. So again, thank you for the question. The Boys and Girls Clubs have been pivotal to me being able to roll out this program. They actually invested in the program for us to pilot it at their locations. The Boys and Girls Clubs have 5 locations in the Metro Detroit area, and we're piloting our esports program at each location. It will be at each location by the end of the year. Currently, we have it at 3 locations. That's the Doubt campus. That's on 16500 Tireman Street on the west side of Detroit. It's also at the Deal location, which is at 4242 Collingwood. That's also on the west side of Detroit, and at the Auburn Hills location. They have been amazing partners working with other organizations such as the Children's Foundation to help us build this coalition out, the Detroit Red Wings, Ninja. If you all are familiar with esports, Ninja is one of the most popular esports gamers in the world. He actually just opened another laboratory with us about a week ago, actually in Auburn Hills. So again, they've just been amazing partners, picking up this idea and helping me to pilot it within their facilities. It's been invaluable.
We're joined by Joshua Ashford, the founder and web design specialist at Webdroid, LLC, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Their website, webdroid.online. That's webdroid.online. And so for businesses that maybe have more of those traditional outlets for operating their business, especially in the retail realm, those with those mom and pop stores, what are some of the ways that your business can help them modernize their sales, modernize their outreach through the web?
Yeah, definitely. So within Webdroid, we have 2 aspects of the business. Again, more recently, we've been venturing into esports, but the core of Webdroid really was based in web design and app development. I mentioned I had taught in DPS for about 3 years, teaching coding to high school students and young people alike. And some of them have come aboard and actually work with me to develop these websites. So there is a development team aspect to Webdroid. We help companies, we specialize in e-commerce development, right? So we kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier, but different payment gateways to incorporate into your business, making your website work for you, automating different tasks, menial tasks that, the business owner would do on a day-to-day basis. Automating that out so that you can have more time in your business is what Webdroid and development team here will help you to do.
We're joined by Joshua Ashford, the founder and web design specialist at Webdroid, LLC, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. So tell us some of the success stories of businesses, of organizations that you've worked with, and how your business has helped them increase their online output through e-commerce, through modernizing their website, and through other technological aspects that maybe they wouldn't have had any knowledge of even had they not consulted with your company.
Sure. So, when I started working with a client, one client comes to mind where I'm an entrepreneur, right? I'm a tech entrepreneur, so I'm always pitching. I pitched a client who became a longstanding client of mine. I've been working with her for the past 4 years. And when I started working with them, they had no online presence, very little, I would say, no website, an Instagram page, but no other social media outlets. But they had a very, very hardcore local following, They had actually been a business that were around for over 20 years at that point, and they had just never had the correct developer come along that they were able to work with that could help them grow and scale their business. When I pitched to them, we ended up deciding that, hey, we wanted to have a longstanding relationship working or moving forward. And that allowed me to be able to expose them to a larger market, help them grow their audience by over 60,000 impressions in the first year alone. And now they have an e-commerce platform that's been developed by Webdroid that helps them to sell, maintain, and scale their business. They're actually going to open another location in the Midwest here based upon the success that they've had just from the website alone. Again, that's just the website. There's also 3D technologies that I use, like VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, that allow the users to engage with the business on a more immersive level. So we incorporate that technology as well.
So how do those technologies then help the business better promote itself, either its services or if it's retail, its products to customers that may have access to those sorts of technologies?
Sure. So, we want to make sure that these technologies that are now becoming more and more accessible are easy to engage with, right? We don't want to lose people as we expose them to VR, AR, because, we all do it. But when something's too tough, the patron won't, or the shopper won't do anything at all, right? If sometimes it is called cognitive overload, right? Having too many options or having too many things jumping out at you at once. We like to use VR and AR technologies and 3D models to display different types of items that the business would normally sell. So say we're selling t-shirts, right? We can make a 3D model of said t-shirt, incorporate that into the website, make it interactable so that the user can zoom in, zoom out, rotate the 3D model at will, and say, hey, you know what, this is actually a product that I want to buy. I was able to engage with it on a more immersive level. Now I have a better idea of what I'll be getting in the mail, so on and so forth. We also use 3D models for logos, the business's logo for marketing purposes. Again, just, kind of like a cool thing. We have some mobile applications that we've developed before in the past. So it's many different ways that you can use these technologies for a business's benefit.
Joshua, anything else about Webdroid that we haven't talked about yet today that would be important or interesting for our audience to know before we say goodbye?
Yes, I would just like to say, if you are a young person in Detroit, Webdroid is working on your behalf to have you guys learn more immersive skills, be able to program in a more applicable way, learn these emerging coding technologies, and game with your friends in a facility that will be available to us soon. I'm going to be a part of a series of pitch competitions coming up, being Hatch Detroit and Demo Day, and I can use all of you guys' support. You can reach us online and support us at www.webdroid.online/esports, and you can sign up for the email list there. We have some more content that will be coming out in the coming weeks on how you can support us and follow us along our journey.
Joshua, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it as well. We're going to take a break here on the Michigan Megacast. When we come back, we'll be joined by one of nearly 300 local charities and nonprofits supported by the Shared Detroit platform. Coming up next, you're watching and listening to the Michigan Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. for help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. Learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com, where you'll find more information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is the president and the grant writer for the Manistique Community Treehouse, Tammy Black. Tammy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us. So first off, tell us a little bit about the organization. Tell us about the Manistique Community Treehouse and the way it serves your community.
Well, the Manistique, first I'll tell you a little bit about myself.
Sure.
I'm Tammy Black, and I am the creator of the Manistique Community Treehouse Center. I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry and mathematics, an associate's degree in chemistry and mathematics, and a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, and a master's in mental health counseling. I am a mother of 6 children. Yes, my house is the house where all the kids in the neighborhood want to come and play and eat and just talk to me about different issues that they have on a daily basis or whatever. And I'm also been in the Jefferson Chalmers community. That's where I live for 10 years. I had the idea of the Treehouse Center for people with disabilities, learning or physical, with an inclusion of all. Being a mother and advocate for children who have disabilities and especially special ed, I could not take the diagnosis of them being, different. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I just figured it was a different way of teaching those children. So I had to come up with something to let their creativity be able to shine and let them be able to have opportunities and excel.
So what are some of the aspects of the Treehouse Center that make it so unique and so special to serve these kids and give them these opportunities for interaction, for learning, for play, and other things as well?
Well, the special thing about it is it's nestled in between these two big trees. It's going to be 400 square feet off the ground. It'll be ADA wheelchair accessible, and it's also going to be totally ran by solar power. This space will be special programming activities that will offer teens and children between the ages of 5 and 18, including children living in developmental and learning disabled abilities. They'll have programming and activities that are both one-on-one and group. We use this as using the counseling process that we focus on to give them well-being and to give them confidence. And we also have programming that will be in this Treehouse Center that will accommodate adults from 19 to 30 with their career goals and jobs. Often, these individuals after 18, when they're learning disabled, they're normally left out of the job market and they can't find a job or help to find a job. So we help them in that process. And we also will be offering mental health services in the Treehouse also, which will accommodate families, seniors, and veterans and just the community in general. The Treehouse will focus on helping individuals to gain positive well-being. That's the goal.
We're joined by Tammy Black, the founder, president, and the grant writer at the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast, one of nearly 300 Share Detroit charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. More information either at sharedetroit.org or at the Manistique Community Treehouse Center's website themselves at manistiquetreehouse.org. That's manistiquetreehouse.org. And this has been a community effort to put this treehouse environment together and create these opportunities for that interaction, but also those special programs and those necessary programs to provide aid to children with special needs and other children in the Jefferson-Chalmers area as well. Can you talk about the community aspect of putting this treehouse together and creating this environment and this organization?
Well, the community aspect is right now the community, all of our community, not just the Jefferson-Chalmers community, is involved in this process of getting this treehouse built. At this point right now, it's not built because due to COVID, our $300,000 project became a $600,000 project because of lumber prices, because of contracting prices. So we're right now raising the funds for the gap for that treehouse, for the treehouse project. And by the end of the year, we're hoping to have that monies together. But the community has come together in any process that we need them to help in, whether it's fundraising, whether it's events, whether it's to help build. They're very supportive, and not just not just our community in Jefferson-Chalmers, also surrounding communities have supported our efforts.
We're joined by Tammy Black, the founder and president of the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. It's one of nearly 300 charities and nonprofits supported by Share Detroit. More information in a couple of different places on the Share Detroit website, sharedetroit.org, or on the Manistique Community Treehouse Center's website itself at manistiquetreehouse.org. That's manistiquetreehouse.org, where if you also have the means to do so, you can donate to help them in this effort to build the treehouse and be part of that community of different people and organizations that are helping to create these opportunities for the future there in the Jefferson-Chalmers community that serves not just the Jefferson-Chalmers community, but communities surrounding it as well on the southeast side of Detroit. So Tammy, if someone is interested in themselves or in their children or another loved one involved in some of these programs, how can they go about doing so?
Well, if they're interested in any of our programs, we have a Facebook page where we share like programs and events, which is Community Treehouse Center. They can go to Facebook and check us out. They can also go to the website, which leads them to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram page, and also we'll have programming there in our website, which tells about the different events that we have.
We're joined by Tammy Black, the president and project leader, as well as the grant writer, also the founder of the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Again, their website for more information, to sign up for programs, to inquire about programs, to get in contact with them, volunteer opportunities, and certainly to donate to help them build the treehouse on the southeast side of Detroit in the Jefferson-Chalmers community by visiting their website at manistiquetreehouse.org. That is manistiquetreehouse.org for more information. Obviously, donations are critical at this time to build the treehouse and to continue to support the programs through your organization, Tammy. But what are some other ways that people in the community, both in Detroit and in surrounding areas, if they'd like to help this organization, can help the Manistique Community Treehouse Center?
We have volunteer opportunities that they can come out and help volunteer in the gardens, help volunteer with events. We also have programming. If we have any carpenters or any roofers or any people of that nature who are skilled in those areas, we have a program that we're doing with those children where they're going in a house and learning how to rehab this house. So we're looking for people to donate their services if they have those type of skills, and also individuals who want to donate like kitchen sinks, bathroom toilets and bathroom sinks and flooring and things of that nature for this project. So they'll be able to go in these houses and go in this particular house, fix it up, and we're going to turn it into a house where they're going to learn how to install solar installation, because that's one of the things that we're getting into with the children right now.
We're joined by Tammy Black. She is the founder, the president, and the grant writer at the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information either at shareddetroit.org, that's shareddetroit.org, navigate down to their charities and nonprofits search engine and search for Manistique Community Treehouse Center, or by visiting the Manistique Community Treehouse Center's website at manistiquetreehouse.org. That's manistiquetreehouse.org. You'll learn more information about the organization. You can also donate to help them in their efforts to build the physical treehouse itself and help really kickstart these programs over there at the physical treehouse and support their ongoing programs as well. Tammy, another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that we haven't discussed yet about your organization that the community should know, or other ways people can get involved?
Other ways that people can they can also get involved. We have entrepreneurship programs that the kids are into right now also, where they're learning how to open their own business. And if anybody's interested in helping them to create, we have 2 excellent entrepreneurship coaches, but we're looking for more people who want to help them to open their own business, to be able to be profitable at their businesses, writing business plans, using their creativity to see what type of businesses they want to be in. We also do a financial literacy program that we're looking for people to get involved with. So the kids are learning how to open their own bank accounts, how to invest in the stock market. They're learning how to do those type of things. So if people have expertise in those areas, we're looking for them to come out and help the kids with that, because they're very much interested in different types of things. Like they like Nike and they like Tesla. So they're very much interested in doing the stock market and investing. So if anybody who has an interest in helping children in those areas, we will be gladly appreciated. And also the gardening area. If we have gardeners that would love to come out and garden in a space of nature, a couple of spaces of nature, we would love to have them to come and give their expertise. And we also have a bird watchers garden, where those people who are bird watchers and would like to come out and help the children to develop that skill, we would love to have you out.
More information on their website, manistiquetreehouse.org. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you so much for having me, Tyler. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tammy Black, the president, project leader, grant writer, and founder of the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Again, one of nearly 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform that you can view at shareddetroit.org. Learn more information about the organization find ways to get involved. There are items that would be helpful to the organization, physical items from Amazon, from other wish lists. Those are also listed on the Shared Detroit website at shareddetroit.org. Otherwise, you can learn more information, keep up to date with the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, and find out ways to get involved. And of course, if you have the means to do so, to donate to this organization so they can build the treehouse. As Tammy said, the initial cost of their plan to build that treehouse was $300,000 because of inflation, because of supply chain issues, because of other issues related to COVID-19. That's doubled. It's now about a $600,000 estimate on that. They are in need of those donations to really make this treehouse happen. Those other programs are still also ongoing. Those are also costly, and your help, every dollar can really help this organization and other organizations supported by Shared Detroit. So either shareddetroit.org or manistiquetreehouse.org. That's manistiquetreehouse.org to learn more information about the Manistique Community Treehouse Center. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Oakland County and the Michigan Megacast. You can stay up to date on everything you need to know about the program by visiting civiccentertv.com and clicking on our Megacast link, where you'll learn more information about all of our partnering TV, radio, and web outlets that join us each and every day from all across the Great Lakes state. Find our full episodes and each individual interview on demand at that location as well, civiccentertv.com/Megacast. We usually have those posted by sometime mid to late afternoon each day, so you'll be able to view our full episodes if you'd like to enjoy the full 2-hour marathon that is our daily Megacast program, or each individual interview. If you're more interested in local charities and nonprofits and want to learn more about the Manistique Community Treehouse Center, or if you're more interested in travel, you want to learn specifically about the upcoming travel season with things opening back up a lot more normally than in the past, and you want to hear from Dave Lorenz, or you're a music lover, you love supporting local music, and you want to go back and hear our interview and watch our interview with McKayla Prew that we had in studio earlier on in this program. You can do that, civiccentertv.com/Megacast on demand at your own leisure, or the full episode. On our coronavirus page, keep up to date on everything you need to know about COVID-19 from the CDC, the NBHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division by going to civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we also post articles from journalistic outlets all throughout the state of Michigan every morning before our broadcast begins, so you can stay up to date on other things, making headlines, making news all across the great state of Michigan. That is going to do it for today's program. As I said, a big thank you as well to our crew, Calvin Brown, our technical director, with us each and every day, Eugene, our IT director, also with us in the studio today, Jared Clark, our Zoom producer at the office of My Michigan TV in the bustling metropolis of Troy, Michigan, the king of television, Larry Nyland, producing the show from all the way out in Acme, Michigan this week, and of course, Maddie Mushrin at Master Control, helping us on and off the air. On My Michigan TV, their continued coverage of the 2022 Pure Michigan Governors Conference on Travel and Tourism continues with Steve Leto and Larry Nyland, and we'll return to regular programming on other stations throughout our network. And then tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we'll be back with more of the Oakland County and the Michigan Megacasts.